live lesson, we're going to practice a very easy grammar point you can use to give extra details. If you often think, I wish I could write longer sentences, or I wish that I could speak with more detail in a conversation, just in one sentence, this lesson is going to help you a lot. Today we're going to practice one simple grammar point with a few small things that we have to practice to get really good at them. So today I hope that you can take away from this lesson the ability to put two sentences together very fluently and smoothly. So as you join, please make sure to hit the like button and share this video so that other people can find today's lesson. And I want to share a super quick and super exciting announcement about this banner at the bottom of the screen here that says Learn Faster with Live Group Classes. The team has a live group class session starting very soon that you can join. So if you have been looking for an online class to take, check the details of this one. You can find everything at EnglishClass101.com. The link is below the video if you're watching on YouTube and above the video if you're watching on Facebook. These are going to start on September 16th, 2025. This is a 10-week online course. Every time you have a lesson, it is a 1-hour lesson. It will be for students only, okay? Or rather, 4 students plus you. So there will be a very small group class. You will be able to work together with your teacher. There will be a teacher for your group only, and you will be able to get feedback. You can practice. You will have homework, assignments. It's such a good chance if you have been wondering where you can find a teacher or how you can get some actual feedback. This can be a great chance for you. I'll remind you later in the lesson, but this is a special thing that we have for the next few weeks to sign up. So if you want to sign up, get in there now, get in as soon as you can so you can get a spot. So I hope that's helpful for you. Okay, I'll remind you again later. Then I think everything is rolling. I think that everything is looking good on YouTube and on Facebook. Hello, people. Oh my gosh, YouTube. There you are, chat. Hello, Ivan and Victor and Niharul and Natalie, Roberio. Hi, Inazuma. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining, as always. Facebook also is live. I don't see messages on Facebook yet. Maybe they're going to join soon. Let's go for today. As always, I prepared a lot, so I want to begin quickly. So let's start with a warm-up. Your warm-up task, or whether you're watching this live or later, is explain a noun, okay? Just look around your room right now, or look at me, look at your computer or your phone, and explain that noun. Give a small piece of information and give 1 point of extra detail, okay? Does not need to be difficult. If you don't know how to do that, or if you don't feel confident, we're going to go through these 3 steps now to help you do that, to help you put 2 sentences together, okay? So we can begin with step 1. Step 1 is easy, really easy. Make a simple sentence about the noun. Make a simple sentence, okay? That means you need a subject and a verb, all right? That's the easiest way to do this, okay? Let's look at a couple basic examples. My phone is an iPhone 15. My phone is an iPhone 15. Simple sentence. This is about my phone. My verb is, yeah? Or here's another one. My teacher is very talkative. My teacher is very talkative. Very simple sentence, right? So choose a sentence that's very easy, right? Something near you that you can see right now, okay? Step 2, choose a detail about the noun. Any detail is okay. Small point, big point, whatever. For example, the phone example. I said, my phone is an iPhone 15. A detail point. I bought my phone a few years ago. Okay, I bought my phone a few years ago. Small detail, right? That's it. Or in this sentence, I explained my teacher. My teacher is very talkative. So my detail point could be, she is American, or my teacher is American, okay? So how do we put these 2 sentences together, right? So we have sentence 1 and sentence 1 here, noun sentence 2 and detail sentence 2. Today we're going to practice putting these together smoothly and naturally, all right? So we're going to look at number 3 then. Combine with who or which before the extra information and after the noun, okay? So let's take a look at our example sentences. Maybe we can zoom in there, Control Desk. Sorry, it's a little bit small, so maybe let's zoom in there. And let's break down what's happening in these sentences so that you can use the same pattern to make your own, okay? So, first one, the sentence about the phone. We have, my phone, which I bought a few years ago, is an iPhone 15. So in this sentence, we combined the basic sentence and the detail sentence. Let's break down how we did that, okay? First, I said combine with who or which before the extra information, right? Here, I put, I bought my phone a few years ago, right? So the extra information is this piece. Here I have which, right? I have which, and then I bought a few years ago. Okay, here's my extra information in the sentence. And notice in the extra information, I didn't say I bought my phone a few years ago. You don't need to include, or rather do not say the noun again in the extra information. Why? Because it's the subject of the sentence. We don't need to say it 2 times, okay? So in your extra detail sentence, remove this part about the phone, okay? Then we have, my phone is an iPhone 15. You can see the original sentence remains right here, yeah? So a good way to test if you made your sentence correctly is if you can see the original sentence is still there. My phone is an iPhone 15. This is the original sentence, right? Inside the sentence, we dropped, which I bought a few years ago. We just dropped some details into that, okay? All right, phew, let's see, anything in the chat? Erickson, I thought our lesson for today is about relative clauses. Yes, this is a relative clause. That is correct. Good. Hello, everybody who is joining. Hello, Macias, I hope I said that right, on Facebook. Adam, Mosin, hello, Yahoo, hello, everybody. Great, some examples. Inazuma wrote, my ball pen, which I bought a few days ago, has multiple colors. Perfect. Flawless execution. We love it. Great job. Okay, let's look at the second example sentence then, because my legs are getting tired. Okay, my teacher, who is American, is very talkative. My teacher, who is American, is very talkative. Maybe I can do this. Okay, so in this sentence, it's just my head here, this is our relative clause, who is American. This piece is our extra information, right? She is American. In the first sentence, I said we don't need to say the subject 2 times, right? This is because in this sentence, we already know the sentence is about my teacher, yeah? So my teacher, we don't need to say who she is American. Just leave that out, okay? So we have who, in this case, to show the beginning of the relative clause. We use who for people, and we use which and that for objects. We're going to talk about that later with some more advanced points. And in this sentence, we also have the original right here. My teacher is very talkative. We just added the extra detail in the middle of the sentence. Phew. Okay, so let me see if anybody put some warm-up questions in there. Okay, Nevian, good one on YouTube. My laptop, which is, let's see, my laptop is a Lenovo 15-inch that I bought from Best Buy. It can be converted into a tablet. Okay, close. So you kind of have 2 in 1 there, right? You can say my laptop, which I bought from Best Buy, can be converted into a tablet. Or you could say my Lenovo 15-inch laptop, which I bought from Best Buy, can be converted into a tablet, yeah? So I would say instead of my laptop is, just say my Lenovo 15-inch laptop, which I bought from Best Buy, can be converted. That's how I would make it good. Oh my gosh, Patrick wrote, my TV, which I bought from the internet last Christmas, is not working very well today. Very nice, close, Patrick. My TV, which I bought from the internet or which I bought online last Christmas, is not working very well today. Okay. Myo wrote, my manager, who is Malaysian, is a workaholic. Is it correct? Grammatically, it is correct, yes. Mehul, today's we're talking about a way to improve your speaking. Try saying this out loud today. If you want to talk about a different topic, go to a different video. Today's live stream is only about this topic. Okay. Stalin wrote, my brother, who is my boss, is very punctual. Very nice. Okay. Hello, everybody joining on Facebook. I see no examples on Facebook, so let's continue. All right. Thank you, Control Desk, for zooming in. I am tired of standing like that. Okay. So, Erickson, you have a key question we are going to talk about in part 2. What is the difference between which and that in relative clauses? Yes, that's a key question that even native speakers do not get right. Great question. I'm going to talk about that in part 2 in this advanced point section right here. So please wait for that. Okay, let's go to a break. So we have our warm-up. This is what we're going to practice in today's live stream. But if you missed it earlier, I want to remind you, the team has a very special opportunity, good chance right now. The team has live group classes starting again. If you missed it the last time there were live group classes, now is a new chance for you to do that. They're starting again on September 16th, September 16, 2025. These are 10-week online classes. The class is very small. It is you plus 4 other people, yeah, plus a teacher. So you will have 1 week, or you will have 1 class a week, and you will have a teacher there to help you, to give you feedback, to review your assignments. There's so much that you can do and get good feedback on a regular basis. So you can find all of the details here. This is the link you will find if you click the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. So if you want to make sure that you get to participate and you actually get live feedback and attention from the teacher, and if you want to actually meet other people and get to practice with other live classmates, this is an amazing, amazing chance. So please, if you think like, I might be interested, make sure you make your reservation, reserve your spot soon, because the classes are going to start in about 3 weeks, yeah? So if you think this might be good for you, that's wonderful. Go and find your spot, get the details from the link below or above the video there. I hope that that's a great opportunity for many of you. Okay, let's continue to part 2. So in part 2, we're gonna talk about what are these clauses and the advanced point we talked about before. We're also going to cover relative pronouns, some key pronouns that we must use in this grammar point. Okay, let me check the chat real quick. Caddy wrote, I need to join. Yeah, join the live group classes. Again, if you're on Facebook, you can find the link above or to the side of the video. If you have the video small, the link should be right above my live stream Facebook users. Okay. Mohsin wrote, my mom, who is Bangladeshi, is very well. Maybe like she is very healthy. We would say she's very healthy, or she's like in good spirits, something like that, to be a little more natural. Okay, let me check the chat again really quickly. Yeah, many people are asking, what's the difference between which and that? Great. Okay, we're going to get to that in just a moment. One more. Rodis wrote, my cell phone, which I bought 2 years ago, is still working today. Is still working today is a good way to say that. Okay, let's continue. Was what too small? This? Maybe? Oh, no, that's okay. Okay, thanks, Control Desk. Okay, let's get into part 2. If you haven't, hit the like button. It really does help. It sounds crazy, but it really does help other people to find the lesson. So let's talk about relative clauses and the difference between which and that, because there is one, and again, many native speakers don't know. So first, what is a relative clause? This thing we practiced in part 1, this part which I have underlined in red, the red section of these sentences, or it starts with which or it starts with who, this part of the sentence, the extra information, is called a relative clause. So a relative clause is a dependent clause. A dependent clause is a part of a sentence that must have another part of the sentence. It depends on other information. So we cannot use a relative clause alone, okay? We must have a full sentence to attach a relative clause to. So in part 1, we made a simple sentence, right? This is a basic sentence, a full sentence, right? And then these parts, we cannot use them alone. Like, we cannot say, who is American? We need other information. We cannot say, which I bought a few years ago. That doesn't make sense. It's not correct alone. We must have other information. This is an example of a dependent clause, a part of a sentence that needs a full sentence to attach to. Okay? What do we use a relative clause to do? We give more detail with a relative clause. We can give more details about something, like your teacher or your family member or your phone, right? And we can also give specific information about something. So there are times when a relative clause is very, very helpful when we have, two or more choices and we need to say something specific about each choice. Okay? We'll talk about this in just a moment. So we have what are called relative pronouns that begin this grammar point, okay? I've marked them here, relative pronouns, we love them, okay? Today, we're gonna talk about these three. We have the pronoun who, okay? We use who usually in front of people. In my first example, I said, my teacher, who is American, is talkative, right? We use the pronoun who because my teacher is a person. We also sometimes, when people talk about their pets, sometimes people use who to talk about that, yeah? Like my dog, who is very excitable, is sometimes annoying, right? So some people use who to talk about their pets. We also have which and that for basically everything else. When you want to talk about an object, when you want to talk about a concept, we use which or that to do it, okay? This is a rough guide. Now, to those of you who are asking about the difference between which and that, how to choose. I know some places will say, oh, which sounds more formal and that is more casual. No. Maybe it's a good guide to get you started, but there is a rule for this. We use that for something that is called a restrictive relative clause. This is an advanced point. Don't worry if this is confusing. I will go slowly. Something that's called a restrictive relative clause. So that means, remember I said a relative clause gives us extra information and we have to have a full sentence to attach that to. This is a type of a relative clause, a restrictive one, okay? A restrictive relative clause gives us essential information. That means if we do not have this information, we cannot understand that noun. We cannot understand. So we must have this information in order to clearly understand the situation. So here's a very simple example. The book that is on the table isn't mine. The book that is on the table isn't mine. So let's first break down the relative clause here, and then let's explain why is this a restrictive relative clause? Because you might think, can't I use which there? The answer is yes, we can understand it, but there's a reason we use that in some sentences like these. So first, here's our relative clause. The book that is on the table, okay? Our simple sentence is the book isn't mine, right? The book isn't mine. Here's our extra information. The book that is on the table. I started the clause with that, yeah? Why? So in this case, imagine in the room there are a few books. Let's say here, make a simple situation. Let's say this is my table. Here is my book, right? But over there, there's a different book, okay? Let's say this is my book, all right? I want to be clear when I'm speaking to you. I want to talk about this book right here, not that book over there, okay? So I use that because I'm making a restrictive relative clause. I want to give specific key information. The book that is on the table isn't mine. Then if I say, okay, I want to talk about a different book. Maybe I have a book in my bag, right? Like this here. I could say the book that is in my bag is mine, okay? So in this kind of situation where we have two books, yeah, and I need to be very clear about which one I mean, I use a restrictive relative clause to do that, okay? So the book that is on the table isn't mine. The book that is in my bag is mine, okay? So in these situations where we have two or more things we must be clear about, we use that to explain it, okay? So it's like saying, another way, there's a way to test. You can test, is this a restrictive relative clause or no? Try thinking about it. If you say, if you remove this part, if you remove the part and say, the book is mine, right? It's like, well, which book if you need to be very clear about which one you're talking about in a situation, like if you're on the street and you say, oh, that car's cool. You went, wait, which car? That's something that needs a relative clause that is restrictive, okay? So that's a way to kind of test. Do I need to use this restrictive type and then use that? If it's not, if it's very clear what you're talking about, it's a non-restrictive relative clause, okay? Again, this is an advanced point, but I hope that that was easy to understand. I'll come to check the chat. Okay, Rosa, you're close. My brother, who is a professional architect, you need something to finish the sentence. My brother is a professional architect is a sentence. Or maybe my brother, who is very hardworking, is a professional architect. You need some more information. So go back to part 1, yeah? Try to do step 1 and step 2 and put your ideas together. Okay. Phew. Let me see. Okay, Inazuma tried one. Nice. The slippers that are, make sure that your verb, in these sentences I have singular is, yeah? The slippers that are in the closet are mine, or the slippers that are in the garden aren't mine. So that's another point, be careful of that. In this case, I have a singular subject, right? This, the book. So my verb matches the subject, yeah? If you have plural, like let's say, the books, okay? Make sure your verb matches your subject, right? Singular and plural there. Okay. Erickson, I think the difference between which and that is the which is used to give information about the noun, and that is used to give details about the noun. I would encourage you to watch this point again. I just explained the details of that. So I hope that helps you. Maybe watch it again. And if you have more questions, I have other videos about this topic that break down restrictive relative clauses, or just Google restrictive relative clauses for more information. Phew, okay. Rocky, a mask, so let's use the mask, right? You want to be very clear, not just random, right? The mask that is lying on the floor is mine, is correct, yeah? That thing is mine, right? The mask that is lying on the floor is mine. Then your sentence is correct. Phew, okay. Great, some other examples. Daniel on Facebook wrote, Alicia, thanks, the uniform that is on the sofa is yours. Great, okay, so if there are a few uniforms in the room and you want to be clear, that one right there, the uniform on the sofa is yours. Perfect, well done, okay. Okay, I don't see any other examples. Oh my gosh, time goes so quickly, so let's continue. Let's continue to the final point, which is very, very quick, I promise. So, we can do something called a reduced relative clause. A reduced relative clause sounds scary. It means short. It means a short relative clause, okay? So sometimes we just want to make it shorter. It's efficient to do that. There is a pattern you can look for to make your relative clauses a little bit more efficient, okay? So you can reduce relative clauses that use ing verbs, okay? So here's an example. The person who is talking to the teacher is my mother, okay? The person who is talking to the teacher is my mother. First, let's find the relative clause. Here is our hint word, who, right? That begins the relative clause. The person who is talking to the teacher is my mother, right? Our simple sentence is, that person is my mother, right? The person is my mother. In this case, we need the information, right? Oh, good point also. We don't have a like a which that difference for who pronouns. We always just use who when we talk about people, so that's easy, right? Okay. So what was I gonna say? Oh yes, how do we reduce them? So to make this shorter, we can remove this who is right here. So the person talking to the teacher is my mother. Oops, I put a little too much of a line there. So the person talking to the teacher is my mother. So we can use this as a short version. See how I removed who is? We can do that with this grammar pattern. When you have an ing verb in your relative clause, you can make it shorter, okay? Last point then, it's up to you to reduce. You do not have to reduce, it's just a choice. Okay, phew, let's see. Can I see the question? Thanks, Control Desk. Rocky, so no or and. Well, it depends. So usually when we use a relative clause, we want to talk about something that's specific, right? So we're probably going to use the to describe that because we want to talk about a specific noun. I can't think of an example. Well, maybe if you're talking generally in the news about like a concept, like a country that has, you know, blah, blah, blah conditions is doing well economically. You might see some that are about concepts, in which case, yes, it's okay to use an article. But as a general guide, you should use the when you're talking about, you know, an object that's right in front of you. You want to be specific about that thing. So yes, you can use indefinite articles sometimes, but again, it depends on the situation. So it's not, don't say, oh, I should never use a or an. There are absolutely cases like when we discuss concepts when we should use a or an. So I know that's not an easy to understand answer, but yeah, sometimes you will use a and an, but generally when you want to talk about something in front of you, you'll use the. Okay, let me see. Erickson, can we also use that in a person aside? Like in this sentence, the person that is talking to the teacher is my mother. Yes, you will hear people say that, yeah. I would say it's more correct and clear to say who, however, yes. We often use, I'm sure I often use that in everyday speech. Like the rules of everyday speech and the rules of perfect speech, we make a lot of mistakes, including me. I don't speak perfectly in everyday speech as well. So yes, you will hear people say, the person that is talking to the teacher is my mother. That's fine. That's not a communication problem. If you want to be a perfect angel of language, you can use who. But yes, that is also very common. Okay. Some other examples. Let's see. Nevian wrote, the school placing at the corner is my son's school. Maybe the school on the corner is my son's school. I'm not sure what placing means. You mean like the school located on the corner, or the school that's on the corner is my son's school? Maybe that's what you want to say. Other examples. Oh, look at that. I'm out of time, as usual. I don't know why. Time just goes so quickly when I teach these lessons. I love all your great questions. I'm trying to check the chat really quickly before we go. Rodrigo, hello Rodrigo, wrote, that girl singing on the stage is my girlfriend. Love that. Yes, great one. Nice reduced relative clause. Fantastic. Jamal Jamil, can you explain the difference between who and whom, please? Well, different question from today, and I'm also out of time. If you want the answer, you're on YouTube. Do a search, who and whom. I have a video about that topic and lots of examples. I would feel bad if I tried to do a quick example that is not, because it's not about today's topic. So I would say just quickly, because we're ending now, pop that into YouTube search and find one of my videos about it. I've talked about it a few times. Okay, I have to finish today. I am out of time, sadly. But I hope that you can take away this kind of three-step process, yeah, of putting together two sentences to create a long sentence that gives detail about something, and that you understand, I hope for more advanced learners, how to use that for a restrictive relative clause, how to be very specific about two similar things and how to be clear about them. Okay, I have to finish up for there today. Oh yes, if you want to take a screenshot, you can do that, or I will first put up the QR code, a picture of that. So if you want to do that, if you want to get that, now is your chance. I'll move out of the way. Ta-da! Come on, QR code. There it is, great. So you can get the notes, all of my little notes, all of my scribbles, and if you just want to take a screenshot of this, there you go as well. Great, okay. So that's it for this week. Next week, of course, I'll be back. Next week, what did I choose for next week's topic? I always forget what I chose. Next week, I'm going to talk about, yes, we're going to do a little vocabulary, how to remember vocabulary lesson. I like to do these every once in a while because people ask often, like, how do I remember the things that I learn? So next week, we're going to review how to study and how to remember new vocabulary, yeah? What are the study strategies that you can use to help it stick in your brain? We're going to review some of those. If you haven't joined one of those in a while, could be a good idea. I have in the past talked a little bit like about some ways that people are using AI, and I'm paying attention to this information too. So maybe we'll discuss a little bit of kind of the new tools that have started to emerge as well. So please join me again for next week's live lesson. I will say goodbye for this week, but please again, don't forget, I mentioned it a couple times, this banner, the team's live lessons are beginning again in about 3 weeks. So if you want to make sure you join, if you want to make sure you have a spot, click the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. You'll find this detail page. Yeah, thanks, Control Desk. So you can get, let's see, it's 5 people total in the lesson. So you plus 4 people only, plus your teacher. You get 10 weeks of lessons, once a week, 1 hour, and you get in-person live feedback. You get homework assignments. It can be such a great opportunity. If you have been looking for a way to learn and practice, now is an amazing chance. I think, yes, the sign up ends on September 2nd, okay? So I hope that if you're interested in this, you can go and find the details here and sign up and get some really good feedback, and also just meet some other people in your class as well. Okay, so we'll finish there for this week. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. So thank you so much to everybody. Thank you for your great questions and comments. Thank you for liking and sharing the video. I hope this was a helpful lesson for you. And until I see you again next week, have a great day, have a great week, have a great weekend, and I'll see you again next time.